Welcome to the final audit of a life spent chasing the cheap high of the flesh. You knew them as the player, the Casanova, the Femme Fatale who moved through the world devouring hearts and discarding bodies. They wielded their sexuality like a loaded weapon, using it to conquer, control, and destroy. They made you feel like you were lucky just to be in their presence, while they kept one eye on the exit and the other on their next victim. You watched them age with a sinking feeling that perhaps justice would never come, that they would simply glide into their golden years, still charming, still seducing, still getting away with murder. But today, we are opening the books on their life, and the numbers do not lie. We are talking about sexual bankruptcy. The concept of sexual bankruptcy is the terrifying, inevitable destination for every somatic narcissist who failed to build a soul. Imagine a billionaire who spent every dime they had on renting luxury cars, but never bought a home. When the money runs out, they are not just poor, they are destitute. The narcissist spent decades trading their youth and beauty for validation. They treated their sexual market value as an infinite resource. But biology is a cruel accountant. As they cross the threshold of 50, the market crashes. The currency they used to buy people, their looks, their stamina, their hotness, is devalued overnight. And because they invested nothing in kindness, loyalty, or intellect, they are left with absolutely zero assets. The haunting question that plagues every survivor is, are they still having fun? You imagine them out at the bars, on the apps, living a life of endless excitement. But let me paint the real picture for you. The party ended a long time ago. The lights have been turned up, the music has stopped, and they are the last person on the dance floor, looking old, desperate, and out of place. The fun they project on social media is a frantic, panicked attempt to cover up the silence in their life. They are not living the dream, they are living in a state of insolvency, begging for attention from people who used to line up for them. We are going to expose the misery that festers behind the closed doors of the aging player. You see, when a narcissist loses their sexual power, they lose their identity. They didn't just have sex, they were sex. It was their only way of interacting with the world. Without it, they are invisible. And for a narcissist, invisibility is a fate worse than death. We are going to look at the panic attacks, the expensive and botched surgeries, the pathetic attempts to date people half their age, and the crushing realization that they have become a joke in the very circles they used to rule. This video is not about revenge, it is about reality. You have spent enough time crying over their infidelity and their callousness. You felt less than because they chose the thrill of the chase over the stability of your love. But now, the tables have turned. You are aging with the grace of someone who has substance. They are rotting with the panic of someone who is just a shell. We are going to witness the slow, agonizing decay of a predator who has lost their teeth but still tries to bite. The curse of the flesh is real. By prioritizing the physical over the emotional for 50 years, they have atrophied their ability to connect. Now that they need care, companionship, and genuine love, they find themselves surrounded by strangers or paid employees. They cannot love. They can only consume. But an old predator cannot hunt. They are reduced to scavengers, feeding on scraps, bitter that the feast is over. This is not karma. This is the logical consequence of a life lived without a heart. You might imagine them laughing with their latest supply, but let me tell you what is happening in the silence of their bedroom. They are staring in the mirror, pulling at loose skin, dyeing thinning hair, and terrified of the impending solitude. The freedom they bragged about, the freedom to sleep with anyone, the freedom from attachment, has mutated into a prison of isolation. They are free, yes. Free of love. Free of family. Free of anyone who actually gives a damn if they wake up in the morning. We are going to dissect the transition from desired to desperate. In their 30s, they were the hunters. In their 40s, they were the experts. But in their 50s and beyond, they become the pests. They are the creepy figures at the end of the bar who don't know when to go home. The world has moved on. The sexual marketplace has evolved. And they are left holding a currency that is no longer legal tender. They are trying to pay for a Ferrari with monopoly money, and they are shocked when the world laughs in their face. This isn't just about losing looks, it's about the collapse of the false self. Their entire God complex was wrapped up in being desirable. Without that, who are they? They don't know. They never took the time to find out. They are empty shells rattling in the wind. The panic you sense in them is the realization that they wasted their life chasing a sensation that lasts seconds, ignoring the connections that last a lifetime. Prepare yourself. We are going to look at the ugly, unvarnished truth of the aging narcissist's existence. It is a place of desperation, pills, payments, and pornography. By the end of this video, you will not feel envy. You will feel a deep, chilling relief that you are not them. Let's expose the bankruptcy. To understand sexual bankruptcy, you must understand the somatic narcissist's economy. To them, people are not human beings, they are mirrors. Every time someone sleeps with them, it is a reflection that says, you are powerful. You are worthy. They accumulate these reflections like a miser accumulates gold. But unlike gold, sexual validation is a depreciating asset. It has a shelf life. The narcissist built their entire self-worth on a foundation of sand, their physical appearance. As they age, the tide comes in, and the castle dissolves. They are left standing on a flat beach, exposed and shivering. They suffer from the void of the non-self. Because they spent their life performing, they never developed a core personality. They were a chameleon, changing colors to seduce the next target. Now, at 50, the chameleon is tired. The colors are fading. They look inside for comfort and find nothing. There is no wisdom, no hobbies, no deep friendships. There is only the echo of past conquests. This void becomes a black hole that threatens to swallow them whole. They try to fill it with more sex, but it's like throwing pebbles into an abyss. The market value crash creates a narcissistic injury that never heals. For decades, they got sex for free, meaning they didn't have to pay money. They paid with charm and looks. Now, the free market is closed to them. To get attention, they have to pay. They have to buy drinks, buy dinners, buy gifts, or literally pay for companionship. This shift from being wanted to being a customer destroys their ego. It confirms that they are no longer the prize, they are the wallet. Pathological envy consumes them. They look at young people not with fondness, but with murderous jealousy. They hate the youth for having what they squandered. They hate young couples for having the love they are incapable of feeling. This envy turns them bitter and toxic. They become the grumpy, judgmental elder who criticizes everyone, projecting their own self-loathing onto the world. They are rotting from the inside out with the acid of their own jealousy. Their addiction to novelty backfires. Their brain is rewired to only respond to the thrill of a new partner. They cannot find peace in a stable relationship because stability feels like death to them. But here is the catch. At 50, acquiring a new partner is exhausting and difficult. So they are trapped. They are bored by stability but rejected by novelty. They live in a state of constant, itching dissatisfaction, unable to scratch the itch that rules their life. They experience objectification reversal. They spent their lives objectifying others. Now, the world objectifies them as old. They are dismissed. They are looked past. They are invisible to the demographic they desire. For a narcissist who needs to be the main character, becoming an extra in the background is a psychological torture. They scream for attention, but the world has put them on mute. The fear of mortality is magnified. For a spiritual person, aging is a transition. For a somatic narcissist, aging is an insult. It is a personal attack by the universe. They view every wrinkle as a failure. They view every gray hair as a betrayal. They fight aging with a frantic, undignified energy, dressing too young, acting too loud, denying reality. They are fighting a war against time, and time is undefeated. Transactional relationships become their only option. Because they never learned how to bond, they only know how to trade. I give you this, you give me sex. As their currency devalues, they have to offer more and more to get less and less. They end up being used by people who are smarter and colder than them. The predator becomes the prey of gold diggers and hustlers. They are being fleeced, and they know it, but they are too lonely to stop it. The shame spiral is hidden but lethal. Deep down, the narcissist knows they are a fraud. They know they are aging. They know they are alone. This knowledge creates a toxic shame that they must suppress at all costs. To suppress it, they drink, they gamble, or they act out in rage. The happy face on Facebook is a mask hiding a face contorted with self-hatred. They are running from themselves, but they are too old to run fast enough. Ultimately, they are trapped in the Peter Pan syndrome gone wrong. Peter Pan is charming when he is a boy. He is tragic when he is a balding, paunchy old man trying to hang out with the lost boys. The psychological development they arrested at age 15 is now glaringly obvious. They are emotionally toddlers in the bodies of seniors. It is a grotesque juxtaposition that repels anyone with emotional maturity. The dramatic turning point occurs when the invisible line is crossed. There is a specific night, a specific moment, where the narcissist realizes the game is rigged against them. Maybe they walk into a club and the bouncer looks at them with pity. Maybe they approach a person of interest and are called Sir Orm in a tone that implies they are elderly. The realization hits them like a freight train: I am no longer a player. I am a ghost. This triggers the desperate pivot. Panic sets in. They try to buy their way back into relevance. This is when you see the sudden purchase of the sports car, the extreme plastic surgery, or the sudden relationship with someone 30 years younger who clearly hates them. They are frantically throwing money at the problem of their own mortality. It is a spectacle of denial. They are trying to bribe the Grim Reaper with a facelift. The sugar daddy mama phase begins. They accept their sexual bankruptcy and start paying for affection. But this destroys them psychologically. Every time they hand over a credit card, it is a reminder that they are not enough. They know the person is faking it. They know the I love you is really I love your wallet. This knowledge eats away at their narcissism like a cancer. They are paying for a mirror that lies to them, and they know it's a lie. They start hunting in the gutters. Since quality partners reject them, they lower their standards. They start preying on the vulnerable, the addicted, the broken, or the very young and naive who don't know better. They scrape the bottom of the barrel just to find someone who will reflect their grandiosity. The king or queen is now holding court in a dive bar, surrounded by people they secretly despise, just to feel like the smartest person in the room. The rage spirals become frequent and terrifying. The frustration of their sexual decline manifests as anger. They scream at waitstaff. They abuse their elderly spouses, if they haven't been discarded. They pick fights with their children. They are like a wounded animal, lashing out at everything because they are in pain. The pain is the death of their ego. They are mourning themselves while they are still alive. They attempt to hoover the archives. This is why you get that text after 15 years. Hey, thinking of you. They are circling back to old supply because the new market is closed to them. They are hoping you have forgotten the abuse. They are hoping you are desperate. They want to extract one last drop of juice from an old lemon. When you reject them, and you must, it shatters them. It confirms that even their history has rejected them. The pornography addiction escalates to disturbing levels. Without real-world validation, they retreat into the digital world. They consume darker, more extreme content to get a dopamine hit. They spend their nights alone, bathed in the blue light of a screen, engaging in a solitary, shameful loop of arousal and self-loathing. The great lover is reduced to a lonely voyeur. The health crisis exposes their isolation. When they inevitably get sick or fall, who is there? The one-night stands aren't there. The sugar babies aren't there. The victims they discarded aren't there. They lie in the hospital bed, scrolling through a phone full of contacts, realizing there is no one to call. The nurses treat them clinically, not adoringly. The loss of special treatment drives them insane. They become the creep. The label shifts permanently. Society stops viewing them as eccentric and starts viewing them as predatory or gross. Their flirtatious comments, which used to be welcomed, are now met with uncomfortable silences or calls to HR. They are ostracized from the tribe because they refuse to evolve into the role of the elder. They insisted on remaining the lover, and now they are the outcast. The turning point ends with total solvency failure. They realize that no amount of effort can restore their former glory. They are sexually bankrupt. The bank is closed. The assets are frozen. They are forced to live the rest of their life in the poverty of their own company. The collapse is slow, cold, and quiet. It is the gray rock of the universe against the narcissist. They end up in a house that is too big, filled with silence. The trophies of their sexual conquests, the photos, the memories, turn into instruments of torture. They look at pictures of their youth and weep, not for the time lost, but for the power lost. They are trapped in a museum of their own history, and they are the only visitor. Their children, if they have them, often go no contact. The children remember the neglect. They remember the parent who was always out chasing tail, instead of being at the soccer game. Now that the parent is old and needs help, the children are gone. The narcissist cries abandonment, playing the victim, oblivious to the fact that they abandoned their children decades ago for the pursuit of pleasure. They die waiting for a visit that never comes. Financial ruin often follows the somatic curse. Maintaining the lifestyle of a player is expensive. Alimony, settlements, plastic surgery, gifts for supply, club memberships, it drains the accounts. They often enter old age broke, having squandered their resources on their image. They end up in state-run facilities, stripped of the luxury they believed was their birthright. They become bitter historians. They trap anyone who will listen, a trapped neighbor, a caregiver, and recount their glory days. I could have anyone I wanted. Women and men used to line up for me. They tell these stories on a loop, trying to convince the listener, and themselves, that they were legends. The listener just nods, checking the time, pitying the delusional old soul. The paranoia sets in. Isolated and angry, they begin to believe the world is conspiring against them. They think the nurses are stealing from them. They think their neighbors are laughing at them. The brain that was once used to plot seductions is now used to plot conspiracies. The mental energy rots and turns toxic. Somatic decay is their personal hell. For a narcissist, incontinence, frailty, or dependency is not just a medical issue, it is a spiritual crisis. To be wiped, to be fed, to be helped out of a chair, this destroys them. They treat caregivers abusively because the caregiver represents their helplessness. They scream at the hands that feed them because they hate needing to be fed. The final discard happens to them. The world discards them. They are no longer relevant. New generations rise up who don't know who they are and don't care. They fade into the background noise of humanity. For a narcissist who needs to be the main character, becoming an extra is a fate worse than death. They are deleted from the cultural script. They die a stranger's death. Often, the somatic narcissist dies surrounded by strangers. Paid staff. Distant relatives waiting for a check. There is no weeping widow. There is no heartbroken husband. There is just the beep of the monitor and the rustle of paperwork. The intimacy they avoided all their life is notably absent at their deathbed. The legacy of trauma is all they leave behind. They don't leave a legacy of love. They leave a trail of damaged people who are in therapy trying to recover from them. Their funeral is often awkward, sparsely attended, or filled with people who are secretly relieved. The eulogies are vague because there is nothing deep to say. He lived life on his own terms is code for he was selfish until the end. Ultimately, the curse is hollowness. They spent a lifetime eating the icing and throwing away the cake. Now, they are starving. They realize, too late, that free sex was the most expensive thing they ever bought, because the price was their soul. So, what is the final truth you must internalize to heal from the damage they caused you? It is this: you were not the one who lost out. You thought they were winning because they were having fun while you were crying. But they were not having fun, they were numbing pain. They were running a race against their own mortality, and they lost. You built a life of substance. They built a life of sensation. Substance lasts. Sensation evaporates. You must realize that their freedom was a cage. The ability to sleep with anyone meant they belonged to no one. They were drifters in the landscape of the heart. You, with your capacity to love, to commit, to feel pain and joy deeply, you are the one who is truly free. You are free to connect. They are imprisoned in their own skin. Do not envy their old age. Do not look at their social media and think they are happy. Look closer. Look at the eyes. The eyes of an aging somatic narcissist are the saddest things on earth. They are hungry ghosts. They are screaming for food that no longer exists. Pity them, or better yet, feel nothing for them. The justice you seek has already been served. It is served every morning when they wake up alone. It is served every time they look in the mirror and see the stranger staring back. It is served by the silence of their phone. The universe has balanced the scales. They prioritize the body, so they are left with only the body, and the body is failing. You are the survivor. You have the capacity to age with grace. Aging with grace comes from wisdom, from love, from acceptance. The narcissist has none of these. They age with rage. You age with peace. That is your victory. Stop waiting for an apology. The apology will never come because they cannot admit they were wrong. If they admitted they were wrong, they would have to admit their entire life was a waste. They will take their delusion to the grave. Let them. You don't need their apology to be whole. Walk away from the spectacle of their decline. It is not your job to nurse them. It is not your job to save them from the hell they built. They fired you as a partner years ago. Do not rehire yourself as a caretaker. Let them sit in the mess they made. Your revenge is your happiness. Your revenge is living a life full of deep, messy, real connections. Your revenge is being able to hold someone's hand and feel love, not just a dopamine hit. You have the real gold. They just have the glitter. Let the narcissist fade into the oblivion of their own making. Let them be the creep at the bar. Let them be the lonely figure in the window. You have a son to walk towards. The bank is closed. The account is empty. The narcissist is bankrupt. But you? Your vault is full of life. You are rich in all the ways that matter. You won.